Breakfast this morning is cream of wheat and coffee. It's actually morning because I actually woke up about 9 o'clock. So yesterday I started making English muffins. I mixed all the ingredients together and I realized that I needed to let them set between 12 and 18 hours. So it's the next day. It's been well over 12 hours. I'm going to pat these out on a floured board, and I'll put the original recipe off the website that I got this from, if I can find it, in the description of this video. Or you can watch the other video, but to make it easier, I'll just list all the ingredients. I've got flour on my cutting board. I've got my dough. This is half of the recipe, since it's just me. It's very sticky. You're supposed to just pat it out. I don't remember Okay, so apparently I was supposed to let it rest on the cutting board for 10 minutes covered. It is supposed to allow the gluten to relax. So gonna give it 10 minutes. Okay, it's been over 10 minutes. I'm gonna save this because I'm going to have to reuse it. So I went and looked, and after the 10 minutes is over, you're supposed to roll it out to 2 centimeters or just under an inch. This is supposed to make 4. So I'm just guessing. Okay. So I'm going to cut out. I don't know if this is going to make 4. Got some parchment paper here. Yeah, I have to looks more like ½ inch to me, but I don't care. So I did call the company I bought compost from last year, and they are going to set me up with an appointment, hopefully this week, to deliver a batch. I think that's too thick. I'm going to redo this one. It's kind of lopsided. Okay, good enough. And this last one, I'm just going to kind of form into a circle. Okay. way thick. Then you're going to cover it back up with the plastic. It says loosely. And then with the towel. And we got to let it rest for 45 minutes before we cook them. So while I'm waiting for the dough to rest, I think I'm going to run to the local hardware store and get a new gasket for my toilet. So when I had game night, well, I've known it's been having issues for a while. I just haven't fixed it. So it doesn't, I think there's a leak with the gasket, so it doesn't fill up enough to completely flush the toilet the first time, and it annoys other people. I don't ever use that bathroom, but everyone else who uses it gets annoyed. So as I was pulling out of my driveway, I noticed my side gate was open, like wide open. It's usually tied shut with twine because of the wind. It latches, but it doesn't stay a lot of times, but it's completely open, and I don't know why. And so is the door going to my crawl space. So I'm gonna go see if I can fix it. I didn't get a flap thing for my toilet. The place that I went to didn't have them. They did give me the name of a couple of people who do odd jobs, and I also found that they sell the stuff that I can use to replace the siding on my outbuilding later. So it's like $48 for one 4x8 sheet, which is expensive. I'm gonna go fix it before I cook these English muffins. Weeping cherries starting to bloom. So I got a little distracted out there. After I came up to the front porch, I set the stool down and I went looking for blooming trees and stuff. I think all the spring blooming trees are getting ready to bloom, so that's good. So it's been way over the 45 minutes I was supposed to let these sit, so I'm gonna get my frying pan out and lid and start cooking these. It has 2 minutes left, but I'm gonna check. Make sure they're not burning. That's 6 minutes. 3 more minutes. They're really puffed up. So I'm just going to try, I guess, half of one. Since I'm getting ready to eat a sandwich here. I don't know if they seem a tad bit undercooked, maybe. Oh, they smell so good. You normally toast them, so I'm not going to cook them anymore. Just going to add a little bit of butter. They're so good. They're also really easy. It does take time because you do have to let it sit overnight, but gonna get a little bit of apricot preserves. It's so good. You should try it. I don't know if you can see how big, how puffy that one got. So this is lunch. It's a tuna sandwich with alfalfa sprouts that I sprouted, kettle chips, the last of them, and a glass of water. So someone recently asked me about books. They asked me what kind of books I read, ways that I get books, if I went to the library, that type of thing. So I thought I'd talk a little bit about books. I've been reading since I was a child. I was always really quiet, and so I always took a book to school with me after probably when I got into junior high. I always had a book with me because that's about the time when things got really boring for me. We had study hall in junior high, and while everybody else was talking and visiting with each other, I would sit and read because the few friends I had never seemed to be in the same study hall with me. So I would bring a book and I would sit and read. Now I've been a reader my whole life because I can't just sit there and not do anything. I have to be reading or watching something or doing something. I've always taken books to doctor's appointments with me or dental appointments because you're sitting there, or any kind of appointment where you have to sit for who knows how long, because it's so boring. I don't like just staring at a wall or other people that I'm around. It's just, yeah, I can't do it. So I used to read a lot more than I do now because in the last few years it's really makes me sleepy to read, so I usually just pick up a book before I go to sleep and then I'm out. So I'm trying, I don't know if that having poor sleep has led to that. Me just getting super sleepy when I'm just sitting in a chair at home reading. I don't get that way like in a doctor's office because there's too much stuff going on. But if I'm at home and I'm just sitting there relaxing reading, I might nod off sitting in a chair, especially a comfy chair. So I quit doing that a lot. And I'm wondering if it had to do with me not getting good sleep at night because I have sleep apnea, and it's gotten, I've had it for years, not to the point where insurance would pay for a CPAP machine until last year. So I did go back and get tested. I asked my doctor about it last year, and I got tested again, had a sleep study, and my insurance approved it, so I started using it. And I find that I don't get super sleepy in the afternoon like I was for the last few years. So I'm hoping I can start reading again during the daytime without nodding off. So my favorite author is Stephen King. I like all kinds of books except romance. I can't stand that kind of book. I can read almost anything else. Fiction, nonfiction, historical novels, scary stories, mysteries. I really like mysteries and true crime stuff. Yeah, just about anything. I was reading this book. It's an old, like a little group of short stories, murder mystery type short stories. I'm almost done. I should probably finish this. It was given to me by one of my friends. She told me I didn't have to give it back to her, but the next two books she did want back so she could give to her brother. So I started reading this one. It's called Slurry, and it's set in southeastern Kentucky, right around where I used to live. So my ex is from southeastern Kentucky, and we lived up on top of a strip mine mountain and that had been reclaimed. And well, part of it was still being mined, but that was further away. So I've been to the places in this book, not specific places, but the area, the towns in Pine Mountain. So it's interesting. It's a book about a young girl, a teenager, who gets caught up in opioid abuse, and she goes missing, and her parents are looking for her. So far it's interesting. I'm trying to get through it as fast as I can so that I can give it back to my friend. And then she gave me Dean Koontz book, Forest of Lost Souls. I haven't started this one. I'm going to do this one next. So even though I grew up reading scary books like Stephen King, thrillers, I like thrillers too. Not just scary, but like those thrillers are probably my favorite. Suspense type books are probably my favorite books. And movies too, I think. But anyway, I never read any Dean Koontz until, what year this is from? Because, oh, this was last year. So I'd never read any Dean Koontz until the late 80s when a friend of mine, co-worker, she was a co-worker too, asked me if I liked Dean Koontz, and I'm like, I've never read him, I don't know. And she was a big fan, so she brought me a whole giant box of Dean Koontz books, so I read all those. I liked most of them. I did not like the Thomas, I can't remember what, there's a character, something Thomas. I did not like those. I don't know why. I really didn't like them. I'll have to look it up so I know. I'll put it on the screen what I'm talking about. Anyway, I like most of his books, so I'm kind of interested to see how I feel about this one. English muffins or put away. I tried to put them all in this glass container, but because this one's so fat, these wouldn't fit. I couldn't get any of them. Well, I probably could have get that pretty, I could have gotten the half one in there, but yeah. Anyway, I've been getting my books from different places. So for a long time, I was just using the library. But then, like I said, I think I started to talk about this and then I went off. Kind of lost my train of thought. But so when I started getting to where I was getting really sleepy in the afternoon, I quit being able to go through a book as quickly. So I started feeling guilty holding on to a book from the library longer than, I think it's 2 weeks, and then making somebody else wait for that book. So I quit using the library and I started buying my books either online or at thrift stores. I buy them on Amazon, but I would buy the used one, so it would be a lot cheaper. The only books I usually buy when they first come out at full price are Stephen King books. Sometimes we'll buy one of his new books, but everybody else I buy used or wait till a paperback comes out. Or I will go to half-price books. I have a friend who likes going to thrift stores, so we will just go, and sometimes I'll pick up a few books at a thrift store. So that's how I get my books now. I don't normally pay for brand new books anymore because it is so expensive. So I do have some books, if you want to go see what they are, that I picked out in the last few months that I still have to read. This pile is getting higher. Okay, this is my little pile of books. This one I picked up at a thrift store. It looked interesting. And probably didn't help that Stephen King said it was a good book. So, and one of my viewers said they noticed this book the last time when I was getting ready to clear this table off. They saw it and they said they really liked it. So I pulled it out and I was going to read that after the little Christmas book, but then my friend gave me those other two. So this will be the third book I read. This is another book, one of the other game night people gave me to read. Yeah, I got this at Half Price Books. It looked interesting, and it's about a gardening person. So I think this was recommended by one of my friends. I think she recommended this one too. I bought that quite a while ago, before the first time I went to Scotland. I haven't read any of, well, did I read this? I think I read this one. I can't remember. I thought all these were ones I hadn't read. But I read a lot of Michael Conley, so I don't know. I might just have to read it again. This looked interesting. If you read any of these books, let me know if they're any good. I think this is a murder mystery. I've read this one. I've read them all. The Game of Thrones. I've read some of hers. I don't know. I'm pretty sure I haven't read them all. And I couldn't tell you which ones I read and which ones I didn't. I've read this. It's just a thing from one of my exchange students. I've read a couple of his. I don't remember if, I don't think I read this one. Yeah, a gardening book. I think this was from an exchange student. What's this? I've read a lot of her books. So I bought this book. I found it in a thrift store, and it was just before I went to, me and my daughter were going to go see my son in England, and I thought it would be really fun to read it before I went. But I never did. Isn't that awful? I've had this book 3 or 4 years now. And then another exchange student, one of my first ones, gave me this for Christmas, I think, one year. This remodeling book. All the houses in here are not little. It was kind of ridiculous. So I think I'm gonna look at the pretty pictures one more time and then put this in the books to give to half price. So the next batch of books that I take to half price books, whatever money I make, I will only buy that many books, whatever I can afford out of whatever I can buy with that money that I've made from selling the books I took in. And when those are all gone, because I'm pretty sure eventually I'm not going to make enough to get any more books, I will just start going back to the library. Hopefully having a CPAP machine is will help me be able to read through the day and not get so sleepy that it takes me forever to get through a book anymore, hopefully. So that's my plan. If I see something that I really like when I'm out at a thrift store, I usually only go to thrift stores when I hang out with my one friend. She loves them. My favorite part is the book section, so of any thrift store. So I may pick up one or two, but mostly I think I'm going to try and use the library once all those books are read and gone. So some people asked what variety the cabbage was that I made my dinner with, and it's Early Jersey Wakefield. It's the same one I started here. It is a lot darker than a white cabbage. So it looks like my composted manure is getting delivered tomorrow afternoon. Yay! I can start working on the garden and kill my back out. Yeah, it's good because the cold weather stuff is gonna need to go out soon. So I'm getting ready. I'm boiling some water to make some tea. And I think I'm gonna make a hot chocolate mug cake. It's an individual cake you make in a mug. I found it on the same website that I got the English muffin recipe from. So it's one serving, and you just mix it all in the mug and cook it in the microwave. Okay. So it calls for 4 tablespoons of flour, which I've already put in here. Half a teaspoon of baking powder. 2 tablespoons of sugar. I might do 1.5 because I don't like super sweet stuff. A pinch of salt, probably more than a pinch. 2 tablespoons of unsweetened cocoa powder. So I think I'm going to I was going to add a few pecans, and I think I'm going to add a little bit of instant coffee. They weren't in the original recipe. Might have been a teaspoon. Good thing is this recipe, you don't need eggs. Four tablespoons of milk. 2 teaspoons of oil. And then mix it all up. I haven't eaten my dinner yet. So while this cools off, I think I will eat my dinner. Okay, I think it's all mixed. I'm gonna put a few pecans in here. So you're supposed to microwave it. Make sure the mug is microwaveable, of course. Microwave for 40 to 50 seconds. That's based on a 1200 watt microwave. I have no idea what wattage my microwave is, so I'm going to have to check it. And then you cool it for 5 minutes before you eat it. Let's see. I'm gonna stick it in the microwave. So it definitely needed more than 60 seconds because I didn't even have to stick a toothpick in the center. It was still not baked all the way, cooked all the way in the center. You can see this. I cooked it for 1.5 minutes, so 90 seconds. It's pretty good. I don't know if you can see. I think the recipe did say you could put put cream on it. I guess like whipped cream or a marshmallow, because it's called hot chocolate mug cake. I do like it because it's not super sweet, but it is a little bit, and it's nutty. Going to get ready to warm up my dinner. I'm just gonna have the quinoa I made last night and the stir-fried tofu that was left over yesterday. And then I might eat some of my, ouch, it's hot. Don't touch the mug. Then I'm gonna eat a little bit of the chocolate cake. Probably won't eat it all. Probably about half of it, and I'll save the rest for tomorrow. And I'll put both recipes that I did today in the description box, and this one's pretty simple. The other one, you may want to actually see the video. I'll try and put a link to her instructions for the English muffins in the description too, along with both recipes. Hopefully I don't forget, because I'm not going to do it right away. I'm going to edit this in a little bit sometime after I eat. It's almost 8 o'clock, so I need to eat. Thank you all for watching. Take care. Bye.